Ambassador Jessica Jessie Montgomery had practiced diplomacy in some of Earth's most challenging situations, but nothing had prepared her for the moment when her warm Texas smile sent 3 Zixithrak diplomats into emergency hibernation. Standing in the gleaming halls of the Galactic Council's first contact chamber, she watched in bewilderment as the tall, mantis-like aliens curled into defensive balls, their iridescent shells sealing shut with audible clicks. "Well, bless their hearts," she drawled, unable to contain a chuckle. The remaining alien diplomats recoiled at the sound of her laughter, their various appendages raising in defensive postures. The Galactic Council's chief xenobiologist, a towering arthropodian named X-Trill, quickly shuffled forward on its 4 primary legs. "Ambassador Montgomery, please. Your display of teeth and subsequent vocalizations are triggering ancient prey responses among many of our members." "Oh, sugar, I'm sorry," Jessie replied, trying to suppress her growing amusement at the situation. "Where I'm from, showing teeth is friendly. We call it smiling." She gestured to her fellow diplomat, Dr. Robert Bobby Mason, who was failing spectacularly at maintaining his diplomatic composure. "You bare your predator organs," as a greeting. X-Trill's translator struggled to convey the mix of horror and fascination in its harmonics. The scientist's secondary arms were already reaching for a datapad, eager to document this disturbing revelation. "Sure do," Bobby chimed in, his own grin widening. "Back home in Minnesota, we even hug each other. You know, wrap our arms around each other in greeting." The sound of multiple alien translation devices shorting out filled the chamber. The Galactic Council's security chief, a massive Ursine creature named Girthak, who had previously been labeled as the most intimidating species present, took an involuntary step backward. "You intentionally restrain each other. For pleasure." "Only if we're friends," Jessie answered cheerfully. She noticed several more aliens entering what she now recognized as defensive hibernation. "Though I suppose we should hold off on hugs until everyone's more comfortable. Maybe we could start with something simpler." "Yes, please," X-Trill agreed quickly, still frantically taking notes. "Something less predatory." Bobby's eyes lit up with what Jessie recognized as his "this is either brilliant or terrible" expression. "How about we organize a friendly game? You know, to break the ice." Break ice. The universal translator struggled with the idiom, causing several environmental officers to reach for emergency climate controls. "It's just a saying," Jessie explained quickly. "He means we should play a game to get to know each other better. Something casual, like football." The word football triggered an immediate evacuation of the Galactic Senate chamber. Later, Jessie would learn that the universal translator had helpfully provided the aliens with a detailed description of American football, including terms like blitz, tackle, and quarterback sneak. The fact that humans played this for entertainment had caused the first ever unanimous vote in Galactic Council history. A motion to immediately recategorize humans from predator species to apex predator species with concerning recreational tendencies. As alarms blared and emergency containment fields snapped into place, Jessie turned to Bobby with a resigned expression. "Maybe we should have suggested baseball instead." Bobby shrugged, watching as medical teams attempted to revive the hibernating diplomats. To be fair, trying to explain the 7th-inning stretch might have been worse. Besides, he added with a grin that would have sent the newly conscious aliens right back into hibernation. "Wait until they hear about hockey." In the following days, as the Galactic Council reviewed the incident, one thing became abundantly clear. They had severely underestimated human social behaviors. The fact that the American diplomats considered this encounter mild and kind of funny led to the creation of a new diplomatic protocol specifically for human interactions. The document's first line, written by a still-shaken X-Trill, read, "Under no circumstances should human recreational activities be discussed without proper psychological preparation and signed waivers." The humans, naturally, found this hilarious. Marine Colonel Amanda "Mandy" Thompson stood in her backyard, expertly flipping burgers while her trained military working dog, Rex, played fetch with 3 terrified alien youngsters. The massive German shepherd was deliberately being gentle, but the sight of a fierce Earth predator interacting with children had caused 5 different alien species to file formal complaints with the Galactic Child Protection Services. "They're perfectly safe," Mandy called out to the hovering alien parents, their various appendages twitching with every bark and tail wag. "Rex here has 3 certifications in childcare. That's more than most babysitters." Her husband, Mike, manning the second grill dedicated to vegetarian options, couldn't help but grin as he flipped Beyond Meat burgers. "Honey, I don't think telling them that the apex predator is specifically trained to handle children is helping." The block party had been Mandy's idea, a way to ease diplomatic tensions after the first contact incident last week. Traditional American hospitality, she'd argued to her superiors, could smooth over any cultural misunderstandings. What she hadn't expected was for simple food preparation to cause an interstellar panic. "By the eternal void," gasped X-Trill, the Galactic Council's chief xenobiologist, watching in horror as Mandy casually handled raw meat. "You're intentionally burning the flesh of other creatures." "For pleasure." "Not burning, grilling," Mandy corrected, adding a slice of cheese to a burger. "And wait until you try it with these spices. My secret recipe includes ghost peppers." The universal translators attempt to explain ghost peppers, a plant that evolved capsaicin as a defense mechanism, which humans now cultivated specifically to eat, caused 3 more alien diplomats to enter emergency hibernation. "Now look what you did, dear," Mike teased, expertly arranging grilled portobello mushrooms on a platter. "At this rate, we'll never get to show them s'mores." Their children, Tommy and Sarah, had already gathered kindling for the fire pit, eager to introduce their new alien friends to the art of marshmallow roasting. The sight of human younglings deliberately gathering materials for combustion sent several alien parents into protective frenzies. "Your offspring are firemakers," demanded Grithak, the Ursine security chief who had yet to recover from last week's football revelation. "Of course," Tommy replied proudly, holding up his scout handbook. "I got my fire safety badge. And everything." Sarah, not to be outdone, added, "I can start one with just 2 sticks. Wanna see?" The resulting diplomatic incident was only slightly mitigated by Mike's quick thinking in offering the panicking aliens his special veggie burger sliders. The fact that humans would take plants, process them to look like meat, and then cook them like meat created an entirely new category of cultural confusion. "But why?" asked a thoroughly bewildered herbivorous diplomat, cautiously sniffing the Beyond Meat patty. "If you don't want to eat plants in their natural form, why not just eat meat?" "Because everyone should be able to enjoy a good cookout," Mandy explained, her warm smile causing only minimal flinching among the alien guests now. "It's not about the meat or vegetables. It's about bringing people together." This concept, using the preparation and consumption of food as a social bonding exercise, sparked a heated debate in the Galactic Council's Xenosociology department. The idea that predators would intentionally gather in high concentrations, surrounded by fire and sharp implements, for the purpose of strengthening community ties, challenged everything they thought they knew about pack behavior. The evening reached its climax when Mike unveiled his piece de resistance, a towering display of culturally diverse dishes he prepared. "I've got Korean-Mexican fusion tacos, Indian-Italian curry pizza, and my special Tex-Mex sushi rolls." The sight of a predator species casually combining sacred cultural food preparations caused the first-ever emergency session of the Galactic Culinary Heritage Preservation Committee. Their preliminary report, filed the next day, included the phrase culinary heresy 17 times. As the sun set and the fire pit roared to life, Sarah successfully taught a young Zixithrek how to make the perfect golden brown marshmallow. The image, a human child teaching an alien how to deliberately burn food over an open flame for enjoyment, would later become the cover of the Galactic Council's revised guide to human interactions, subtitled, "Everything You Think You Know Is Wrong." The antimatter containment field on Ganymede Station was failing, and Army Ranger Captain Jack O'Neill was having none of it. While alien engineers ran evacuation protocols and the Galactic Safety Council declared the station a lost cause, he stood in the maintenance bay, staring at his modified Ford F-150 power plant with the kind of grin that had preceded several of humanity's greatest achievements and worst decisions. "Listen here," he drawled to the horrified alien engineering team. "Y'all are thinking about this all wrong. Sure, the quantum stabilizers are shot, but that's just fancy talk for needs more power." Chief Engineer Zark Still's translator crackled as it attempted to convey the sheer panic in their harmonic voice. "The containment field requires precisely calibrated zero-point energy modulation. You can't just jump-start it." Jack finished, already pulling cables from his truck. "Watch me." The Universal Translator chose this moment to helpfully provide the alien engineers with a detailed explanation of what jump-starting meant, causing 3 of them to enter emergency hibernation. The 4th began composing their final memorial message. "Now look," Jack continued, pulling a mason jar filled with clear liquid from his truck's toolbox. "This here is my grandma's special recipe. She always said it could power a rocket ship if you needed it to. And today we're gonna test that theory." The remaining conscious alien engineer, a junior technician named Pipsk, watched in fascination as Jack began connecting his truck's power plant to the station's auxiliary systems. "What is the purpose of the liquid in the transparent container?" "That's for Plan B," Jack replied, pulling out a roll of duct tape. The translator's attempt to explain the concept of duct tape, a solving everything tape that technically solved nothing, caused Pipsk to begin composing their own memorial message. As alarms blared and the station's AI counted down to critical failure, Jack worked with the casual confidence of someone who had never learned the meaning of impossible. He hummed an old country song while routing power through his truck's modified alternator, occasionally pausing to apply what he called the sacred silver backing of maybe thistlework. "Captain O'Neill," the station's AI announced, its tone suggesting it had given up on understanding human behavior. "Containment field failure in 3 minutes. Your current actions violate 37 safety protocols, 12 physical laws, and basic common sense." "Perfect," Jack grinned, uncapping the mason jar. "That means it's working." What happened next would be debated in galactic engineering circles for decades. Using a combination of his truck's power plant, 3 feet of duct tape, a package of beef jerky, for the minerals, he insisted, and what he swore was just grandma's lemonade, Jack created what he called a redneck energy converter. The device, which by all known laws of physics should have exploded spectacularly, instead stabilized the containment field. The fact that it did so while playing Sweet Home Alabama through the station's emergency broadcast system was, Jack maintained, just a bonus feature. Pips, who had witnessed the entire process, became the first alien engineer to adopt the human phrase "hold my beer" as a legitimate technical term. Their subsequent paper, Improvised Engineering Solutions, a study of human intuitive physics violations, became required reading at the Galactic Science Academy. The Galactic Engineering Corps, after failing to understand how Jack's solution worked despite 3 months of study, created a new classification: redneck solutions that shouldn't work but do anyway. They filed it under dangerous human anomalies, right next to Florida man incidents and hold my beer events. As for Jack's grandma's special recipe, 7 different alien species attempted to classify it, with no success. The liquid defied standard chemical analysis, and the only comment Jack would make was, "The secret ingredient is love, and maybe a little bit of corn." The modified F-150 power plant remained part of Ganymede Station's emergency systems, despite numerous attempts by safety inspectors to understand or remove it. As one engineer noted in their report, "While we cannot explain how it functions, we cannot deny that it does." Perhaps this is the essence of human engineering. the stubborn refusal to accept impossibility as a limitation. Jack later received a commendation for his actions, though the cetacean carefully avoided mentioning his methods. The award ceremony was delayed twice due to alien safety inspectors entering hibernation every time he tried to explain how he'd fixed the problem. Ashley Williams hadn't planned on causing an interstellar incident when she woke up that morning. The University of Florida sophomore was just doing what came naturally, making friends and planning a good time. The fact that those new friends happened to be a squad of Zixithrak warriors, notorious for their solitary nature and ritual combat traditions, didn't strike her as particularly important. "Y'all look way too stressed," she announced to the warriors in the space station's common area, her hot pink Spring Break 2425 tank top clashing magnificently with their ceremonial battle armor. "Brandon, don't you think they need to learn how to party?" Brandon Cooper, her partner in theoretical physics and practical mischief, looked up from his quantum mechanics homework. "Spring break road trip," he suggested, his grin matching hers. The universal translator struggled to convey the concept of spring break to the Zixithrak, eventually settling on voluntary temporary insanity ritual for human young. This description, rather than deterring the warriors, sparked an unexpected interest. "You engage in ritualized chaos." The Zixithrak squad leader, Korax, clicked their mandibles thoughtfully. "For the purpose of celebration." "Hell yeah." Brandon pulled out his holopad, already mapping routes. 3 star systems, 6 space stations, and the sacred meditation moon of Kurthak. "It'll be epic." The word epic translated to the Zixithrak as worthy of inclusion in warrior songs, which sealed the deal. What followed would indeed be worthy of several warrior songs, though most of them would later be classified as diplomatic incidents. The first sign that this wasn't your typical spring break came at their first stop, Space Station Alpha Centauri Prime. Ashley introduced the concept of party games to the warriors, including something she called toga parties, which the universal translator somehow rendered as ritual combat garment festivities. "No, see, you take the sheep like this," Ashley demonstrated, transforming her bedding into surprisingly elegant attire. The sight of warriors solemnly doing the same with their ceremonial banners would later cause a minor crisis in the Zixithrak Historical Preservation Society. By their third stop, Brandon had somehow convinced the station's AI to play Earth classical music, a playlist heavy on early 21st century pop and something he called EDM. The Zixithrak, discovering they had a particular fondness for bass drops, began incorporating dubstep into their traditional war chants. But it was their arrival at the sacred meditation moon of Kurthak that truly cemented their place in galactic history. The Kurthak, a species known for their 1,000-year traditions of silent contemplation, had never witnessed anything quite like a human beach party. "The water's perfect," Ashley called out, having already set up a volleyball net in the sacred pool of reflection. "Who's up for a game?" The sight of solemn Zixithrak warriors playing volleyball against local monastery students, while Brandon jid from a makeshift booth made from ancient meditation crystals, caused the Kurthak High Council to convene an emergency session. Their decision shocked the galaxy. Instead of condemning the disruption, they voted to establish their first-ever tourism board. "The young humans have shown us the value of," what did they call it? "Letting loose," the High Priest announced, sporting a Spring Break 2425 shirt of his own. "We hereby declare the sacred moon open for," how did young Brandon phrase it? "Good vibes only." The Galactic Council's attempt to investigate the incident was complicated by the fact that their investigative team ended up joining the party. The official report included several drink recipes and a note that the human's ability to transform any location into a celebration space represents either a serious security concern or a remarkable diplomatic tool. As the spring break road trip concluded, the Zixithrak warriors returned home with new perspectives on combat rituals. Beer pong requires far more skill than traditional blade combat, and a collection of souvenir t-shirts, Their subsequent presentation to their home world's military council, complete with a synchronized dance routine, caused widespread reevaluation of human influence on galactic culture. Ashley and Brandon received both academic credit for practical xenodiplomacy and a stern warning about respecting alien cultural sites. They considered this a fair trade for what Brandon called the most epic spring break in human history, a claim supported by the fact that 3 different species added the events to their religious texts. Katie Wildcard Martinez stood in the center of the converted asteroid hangar, sipping her 4th Monster energy drink while eyeing the alien creature in the holding pen. The Vraxian Thunder Beast, a 12-foot-tall mass of muscle, scales, and bad attitude, glared back at her with all 6 of its eyes. "That's the one," she declared, making the assembled Alien Safety Committee collectively flinch. Perfect for the opening ceremony of the first interstellar rodeo. Former champion Martinez, Chief Safety Officer Extil, buzzed nervously. The Vraxian Thunder Beast is classified as a Class 9 apex predator. It has natural plasma vents and gravitational manipulation abilities. Katie took another sip of her energy drink, her eyes sparkling with the kind of excitement that had made her Earth's rodeo champion before she decided regular bulls weren't challenging enough. "So you're saying it's like a spicy mechanical bull?" "Even better." Her social media producer, Tyler "Tighty" Thompson, was already setting up the hover cameras. "This is gonna blow up on Space Talk," he grinned, adjusting the feeds. The hashtag Space Rodeo is already trending in 3 galaxies. The Galactic Sports Federation had initially been thrilled when humans proposed sharing their athletic traditions. They'd expected something like chess, or perhaps that delightfully civilized game of golf they'd observed. Instead, they got Katie Martinez, whose idea of breaking the ice involved literally riding on apex predators from various worlds. "The rules are simple," Katie explained to the rapidly paling alien officials. "Stay on for 8 seconds, make it look good for the judges, and try not to die. Basic rodeo stuff. Try not to die." The universal translator glitched repeatedly, unable to process the concept of voluntary recreational near-death experiences. "Yeah, and that's just the warm-up," Tyler added, pulling up the schedule on his holopad. "Wait till they see the barrel racing on quantum-shifted gravitational fields, or the teen roping event with the phase-shifting Andromedan shadow stalkers." The medical team, already overwhelmed by the concept of the main event, had to be revived with smelling salts when Katie casually mentioned her plans for the mutant division, featuring creatures that had evolved on radioactive worlds. "But first," Katie announced, strapping on her gravity boots, "let me show y'all how it's done. Tighty, make sure you get my good side when the Thunder Beast starts spitting plasma." What followed would be remembered in galactic history as either the most impressive or most insane display of human recreation, depending on which alien species you asked. Katie not only stayed on the Thunder Beast for the required 8 seconds, but managed to guide it through a series of complex maneuvers that even its original handlers didn't know were possible. Her post-ride interview, conducted while casually dodging plasma bursts and chugging her 5th energy drink, became the most viewed video in galactic social media history. "Honestly," she drawled, her hair slightly singed but her smile undimmed, "the plasma vents really aren't that different from when my uncle's bull got into the ghost peppers back home." The event sparked a new classification in the Galactic Species Registry, Recreational Apex Predator. The definition simply read C, human, particularly specimens from regions designated as Texas, Wyoming, and Montana. By the end of the first day, 3 different alien species had requested to participate in future events, though they insisted on starting with something easier, like the plasma bulls. The Vraxian delegation, meanwhile, offered Katie honorary citizenship after she demonstrated that their most feared predator could be turned into a sporting event. The Galactic Council's subsequent report included a new warning label for human recreational activities. Caution: human definition of fun may include activities traditionally classified as survival threats. They also had to create a new insurance category specifically for what they termed voluntary human-induced chaos events. Tyler's footage of Katie teaching a young Andromedian how to ride a starter thunderbeast, only 8 feet tall, with minimal plasma venting, became the Galactic Educational Board's most controversial teaching tool. The accompanying caption, "When in doubt, yeehaw it out," was eventually adopted as the unofficial motto of the Interstellar Exchange Student Program. Danny Big Dog Rodriguez hadn't meant to end a century-long intergalactic conflict with a food truck. The former New York chef just couldn't stand watching the Zenthrakian and Proximan delegations glaring at each other across the space station's food court, especially when he had a perfectly good flat-top grill sitting idle. "Y'all ever try a fusion taco?" he called out, making both alien species jump, because I'm thinking Zenthrakian crystal-spiced protein with Proximan gravity-suspended sauce would make one hell of a combination. The universal translator had a minor meltdown trying to convey the concept of fusion cuisine to species that had been fighting over recipe purity for the past 100 years. It finally settled on intentional food heresy, which only made Danny grin wider. "Trust me," he said, firing up his grill. "Everything tastes better with hot sauce. And I've got a special batch made from Earth ghost peppers and Andromedian fire fruits." The Galactic Culinary Heritage Preservation Committee, already on high alert after the BBQ incident from a few weeks ago, dispatched an emergency observer. They arrived just in time to see Danny committing what they would later term premeditated cuisine crossing with cheerful abandon. "See, the trick is to respect the original flavors while creating something new," Danny explained to his growing audience, deftly combining ingredients that, according to 3 different species' religious texts, should never be within the same solar system. Like how this Zenthrakian crystal spice has that same umami kick as fish sauce, so if we add it to this Proximan protein, the resulting aroma caused the emergency observer to send a priority message to the committee. Human subject displaying dangerous levels of culinary creativity. Request immediate intervention. Unfortunately, by the time the message arrived, both the Zenthrakian and Proximan ambassadors were already on their 3rd tacos. "This is blasphemy," the Zenthrakian ambassador declared, all 4 hands reaching for another taco. "Delicious blasphemy. The ancestral recipes." The Proximan delegate began, before being interrupted by an involuntary sound of pleasure. "They never mentioned it could taste like this." Danny's food truck, Big Dog's Intergalactic Munchies, quickly became the unofficial meeting spot for diplomatic negotiations. It was hard to maintain ancient grudges, delegates discovered, when sharing a plate of Martian Mexican street corn or arguing over the last Alpha Centaurian soul food fusion biscuit. The situation reached its peak when Danny introduced his masterpiece, a 7-layer dip that incorporated traditional dishes from all major galactic civilizations. The Galactic Culinary Committee's attempt to classify it crashed their central database 3 times before they gave up and created a new category: terrestrial fusion anomalies. "I don't understand," a junior culinary observer complained, watching Danny teach a Rigelian chef how to make kimchi using crystalline vegetables. "These combinations should be impossible. The flavor matrices are completely incompatible." "That's the beauty of fusion," Danny replied, adding a dash of his secret spice blend, which he swore was just a little bit of everything nice. "Sometimes the best combinations are the ones that shouldn't work." His philosophy spread across the galaxy faster than his recipes. Soon, food courts on every major space station had their own fusion experiments. The sight of a Vulnarian chef attempting to recreate Texas-style barbecue with levitating meat would have been unthinkable months ago. Now it was just another Tuesday. The Galactic Council, watching their carefully maintained cultural boundaries dissolve in a wave of culinary creativity, had to create a new diplomatic protocol. The food truck doctrine, its primary tenet, inspired by Danny's approach, stated that shared meals create shared understanding. Danny's contribution to galactic peace was officially recognized when his original taco recipe was carved into the Galactic Hall of Peace. The inscription below it, written in his own words, became a mantra for aspiring chefs across the stars. Good food, like good friends, doesn't care where you're from. Also, never skimp on the hot sauce. The Zenthrakian-Proximan conflict officially ended over a plate of fusion nachos, making Danny the first human to receive the Order of Culinary Diplomacy. He celebrated by introducing the galaxy to the concept of the all-you-can-eat buffet, causing yet another diplomatic incident that would require 3 additional emergency observers and a new section in the Galactic Treaty. When the Verkath, officially classified as the galaxy's deadliest predator, escaped containment in Tampa Bay, the Galactic Council expected Earth's immediate evacuation. Instead, they watched in horror as local resident Billy Ray Jenkins went viral on Space Talk with a video titled "Y'all Watch This," feeding the Space Gator Pop-Tarts. "Nah, she ain't that dangerous," Billy Ray explained to his hovering camera drone, tossing a strawberry Pop-Tart to the 20-foot-long, plasma-breathing creature currently lounging in his backyard pool. "She's just like one of them big lizards we got down here, except she's got more teeth and them fancy glowing spots." The Galactic Council's emergency response team arrived just in time to witness Billy Ray teaching the Verkath to play fetch with his collection of lawn flamingos. The creature, which had decimated entire planetary defense forces, was now happily retrieving pink plastic birds while wagging its spiked tail. "The human appears to have domesticated it," reported the bewildered team leader, "in less than 6 hours. Those glowing spots ain't nothing special," Billy Ray continued in his next viral video, now sporting a Florida Man-Viz Space Gator tank top. "My cousin, Jimbo's got a neon bass boat that lights up brighter than that. Now watch this. I taught her to roll over." The Verkath, destroyer of worlds, promptly rolled over for a belly rub and another Pop-Tart. Things escalated when Billy Ray's neighbor, Susan Gator Girl Thompson, saw a business opportunity. Within days, she'd launched exotic alien beast airboat tours, promising tourists a chance to see the galaxy's deadliest predator in its new natural habitat, Florida. "Look at that beautiful smile," Susan would tell her terrified customers as the Verkath swam alongside their airboat, its 7 rows of teeth glinting in the sun. "Who's a good girl? Want another Pop-Tart? Sure." The Galactic Tourism Board had to create an entirely new waiver form specifically for Florida attractions. The document included phrases like voluntary proximity to apex predators and assumption of risk regarding impromptu wrestling demonstrations. Local news anchor Tom McKenzie managed to keep a straight face while reporting. In other Florida news, local man Billy Ray Jenkins has been nominated for a Galactic Peace Prize after successfully teaching the Verkath to participate in this year's 4th of July parade. Witnesses report the creature's plasma breath made for, quote, "the best dang fireworks show this side of the Milky Way." The situation reached peak Florida when Billy Ray hosted a pool party featuring the Verkath as the main attraction. The sight of human children using the galaxy's deadliest predator as a diving board while their parents casually grilled burgers nearby caused the Galactic Council's xenobiologist to require emergency meditation. "Y'all are overthinking this," Billy Ray explained to the Council's investigative team. "She's just like any other Florida pet. Needs love, attention, and plenty of snacks. Though I gotta admit, her Pop-Tart build is getting pretty steep." The Verkath species, after reviewing footage of their escaped member now happily performing tricks at SeaWorld Tampa for frozen chicken nuggets, officially requested to open their first embassy in Miami. Their formal statement noted that any species capable of turning our apex predator into a pool toy clearly deserves our utmost respect and possibly our fear. The Galactic Council had to update their species threat assessment protocols to include a new category, Florida Man Interaction Coefficient. Any creature, no matter how deadly, would have its threat level automatically downgraded if encountered within Florida state lines, where the local population's response to deadly predators ranged from mildly concerned to probably gonna try to pet it. Susan's airboat tours became so popular that she had to franchise, leading to the creation of Gator Girl's Galactic Gator Tours, the first human business to receive a 5-star rating from the notoriously picky Galactic Tourism Board. Her success was attributed to what alien visitors called the thrilling authenticity of possible death combined with surprising survival rates. Billy Ray's final viral video of the year, showing the Verkath dressed in a Santa hat and helping to pull his cousin's stuck pickup truck out of the mud, broke all existing records on Space Talk. The captions simply read, "Just another Tuesday in Florida, y'all." Dr. Ixtil, the Galactic Council's chief xenobiologist and lead author of Understanding Human Behavior, an impossible task, sat in their office surrounded by holoscreens displaying what they had termed the American anomaly. After 6 months of studying American humans, they had finally called an emergency session of the council to present their findings. Distinguished colleagues, they began, their mandibles clicking nervously. We must create a new classification. The current apex predator designation is woefully inadequate for describing American humans, particularly after the Florida incident. The assembled council members flinched at the mention of Florida, several automatically reaching for their meditation crystals. The holoscreens displayed footage from the past 6 months. Ambassador Montgomery's diplomatic smile incident, Colonel Thompson's backyard BBQ, Captain O'Neill's engineering miracle, the spring break chaos, Katie Martinez's rodeo revolution, Danny Rodriguez's culinary fusion uprising, and of course, Billy Ray Jenkins teaching the galaxy's deadliest predator to do tricks for Pop-Tarts. As you can see, Dr. Ixtil continued, pulling up their new classification framework. Americans have evolved beyond mere predation into what I term recreational challenge seeking. They actively seek out situations that should trigger survival instincts, then convert them into entertainment. The council watched in horrified fascination as the screen showed clips of Americans engaging in what they called extreme sports, activities specifically designed to simulate near-death experiences. The footage of snowboarding, skydiving, and competitive eating caused 3 junior council members to enter emergency hibernation. But it goes deeper, Dr. Ixtil explained, switching to their cultural analysis. They've weaponized hospitality itself. Observe how they use food, supposedly a basic survival need, as a tool for both diplomacy and cultural fusion. They've turned the act of cooking, a fundamental survival skill, into an art form that somehow bridges interstellar conflicts. The council's diplomatic chief interrupted, their tentacles waving in agitation. Are you suggesting they're doing this intentionally? That's the most fascinating part, Dr. Ixtil replied, bringing up the psychological profile. They appear to do this instinctively. When faced with a challenge, Americans don't just adapt. They enthusiastically embrace it, then try to teach others to enjoy it too. They're not just predators. They're predators who want to share the experience of predation as a recreational activity. The evidence was undeniable. Footage showed Americans teaching various alien species everything from surfing to line dancing, barbecuing to extreme sports, often with the phrase, "Y'all gotta try this." The fact that many of these activities violated basic survival instincts seemed to only increase their enthusiasm for sharing them. Therefore, Dr. Ixtil concluded, I propose a new classification, Apex Predator Plus, Recreational Challenge Seeker. The Plus designation acknowledges their unique ability to not only dominate their environment, but to actively seek new challenges for entertainment purposes. The classification document included several unprecedented subcategories. Florida Man Phenomena. Treat all threat assessments as purely advisory when within Florida state lines. Hold my beer protocol. Assume any human statement starting with these words will violate known physical laws. Cooking classification. All culinary rules should be considered suggestions at best. Spring break warning. temporary mass migration of young humans seeking recreational chaos. The document's final addendum, which would later become famous throughout the galaxy, simply stated, "Never tell an American something is impossible. They will interpret this as a personal challenge and proceed to prove you wrong while filming it for their social media followers." The Council's adoption of the new classification was unanimous, though several members noted their votes were influenced by the fact that Danny Rodriguez was catering the session with his new Galactic fusion tacos. As the meeting concluded, Dr. Isaac Still added one final note to their research. Perhaps the most remarkable trait of Americans is not their predatory nature or their challenge-seeking behavior, but their ability to make the impossible seem not just possible, but fun. They are not just surviving in the galaxy, they are teaching it how to enjoy life, one dangerous activity at a time. The document was officially sealed and filed, though not before Billy Ray Jenkins had somehow taught the Galactic Council's guard beast to play fetch with the ceremonial orb of office. The security footage of this incident was classified, but as usual, it somehow ended up on Space Talk anyway.